I'm going to read some poems I wrote this summer. I was able to go on a writing retreat for the first time, well, a long writing retreat for the first time since my kid was born 13 years ago, so it was fantastic, and all the artists in the room should apply to Everwood Farmstead, among any other things you're applying to, but January 15th, deadline in Wisconsin. Okay, anyway, that's my pitch. So I'm going to read some poems I wrote during that week. The first is called Natural History. At dusk, the bur oak gives its furrowed bark to quiet, asking if we can be soundless as the eyesore weft, littering road, beer can and car debris overhung with gray. This transitional passage, our new dead rowing themselves to the other world, and soon will we, though too tonal is your feeling for those who've left, too eerie repair as if a weather vane spun in convecting air. Durational rupture from what has made us who we are, accurate with our faces. Now relieved from expectations while you have the chance of living beside one's left. Even evening wants your company. Even the wood tick ripped from shin and keenly held against your tweezers, such force to its blind form. Any movement from one dimension to the next is symmetry. Dear body, like a flounder, sidles past you on a bridge, then spilling wet from trail to field where fibrous plants unknown rise in muted rows. This poem is called Carbon Bio. When was it the great flocks of swans passed us overhead, their triangles of aliveness, the animal pulsing back? When was the Volkswagen car seat my father saw as prototype, generational muscle glowing its language, child and price? When was the first computer he installed in my bedroom, its donut disc, tenor of phone line as it doubled, and the language of human activities testified before Congress, and the wings of Boeing airplanes bluing our troposphere? When was the last year of high school in the boxy vehicle of teenage lust, aware of ourselves dully as harbingers of futurity, holding our girl hands in a closet of small extinctions, the hillsides naming us, their image and instrument? The next two poems I wrote also on the retreat when last June we had a lot of smoke. I mean, we had it all summer, but the whole week was kind of covered, saturated with smoke. So I was trying to think about the smoke as kind of an entity to meditate with and have a relationship with instead of just trying to escape from. So this is the genesis of this poem, Wildland Fire. Today's smoke covets some form of kinship, maybe the latticework ferns or the truck roar on County Road X. And lonely for someone living, you're certain of this, gazes you down as if you're one of them. Flora or fauna exempt from sealed windows, serrated hawkwing, violet gutter flower, fawn vaulting in the hazmat air, and casual with our sorrow. When still the parched asphalt currents this season going on, as elsewhere. Tinny sparrow thud off silo, sweat distilled from running limbs, bright swath, day's throat, what crone to the self who can retrieve her ashen mirror? I'm going to read one more poem, which was also written, sorry folks, thinking about smoke. There was a kind of a farmhouse that I spent a lot of time looking at that was kind of condemned and falling apart, which I was also meditating on. So I was thinking about kind of decay and how to deal with the end of things and how to just be present. It has a line from Ernest Shackleton, "It is hard to write what I feel," and it's called Endurance. The afternoon's fine particulates sift, capped to the sky like a watercolor print. And I'm thinking of the black ash fully branched above. Her toothed leaflets collaring up their stalks, lichen encrusted, where my hammock straps resist her strong bark. She isn't named for fire, but for the wood she gave spears in the ancient ash, Old English, knot on one side of a many-yeared trunk, exposed as the clouds, though both shade me, some leveling of giving and guilt when I imagine her sap-drawn flurry each spring, and her desiccate fibers at season's end. For how is one never not in debt to life? This would be work from now, surviving what harms us while finding solve, noticing how the pine and ash boughs interfret, how the sun, momentarily enveloped by clouds, dismisses all of us, and the Vista farmhouse across the road I know is condemned, how shade extracts feeling from what earlier seemed to speak, static or immaterial, the hammock's blue folds and skies, blue-white fabric of sight, I so rarely felt would harm. This air lasts another 4 days, the weather app says. We can't imagine a longer endurance, though it continues to return. This cortisol-spiked chest, one day sealed in and next panic texts with friends ends. Like all else retreating into what we forget, amnesia cramp of spirit within. Just meant to last she is, like the farmhouse absolved, your stable selfhood falling apart. It is hard to write what I feel, our ability to persist, endure, make hard, from the old French, formerly endured, as did a stranger's home built of land deeds and grids, its woodpile molding logs for someone coming back who never did. So the house appears tended with white sills and roof moss, plaster crimping, its floors mottled with gaps. Light socket, well cover, no one will remove her rotted thumbprint. Any decay in these days more like cottony gaps, no grounding. As I remember the famous shot, a sailor's dark shape watching what he's left, tangle of cable and mast, unidentifiable as ship. He smokes a pipe clad in stinking wool on sea ice that no longer exists. First trapped in, she drifts, is abandoned, memorialized through her dead, gone, saving themselves. As we imagine ascensions to these structures of human time, stray vessels like us who cinch and dissolve. Thank you.